today's movie review, I'll be reviewing the 1963 epic comedy It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, directed by Stanley Kramer, who's been known to direct a lot of drama films, from The Defiant Ones to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And this was the first time he directed a comedy, and, well, for a first attempt, it paid off immediately, as It's a Mad, 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 Mad World became a stunning critical and commercial success back in 1963, since it starred so many comedians of that time period. But that's not the reason why I'm reviewing this movie. I'm reviewing this movie for two reasons. One, I've been noticing that I've been reviewing a lot of science fiction movies as of late, so I want to expand my horizons. And second, I was watching James Rolfe's top 30 favorite movies of all time, and this one happened to come in at number 1 on his list. And then maybe a couple days later, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World just happened to be playing on TV, so I figured, okay, let's see why this is James Rolfe's number 1 favorite movie of all time. And so, the big question is It's a Mad, 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 Mad World any good? As for the plot of the movie, the story begins with a massive traffic jam caused by a reckless driver who, before kicking the bucket, cryptically tells this group of assembled drivers that he buried a stolen loot of money at a particular location, and after he dies, all the assembled drivers essentially get into this mad race to see who gets the money first, and along the way, even more characters join the mad race to get the money before anyone else does. In terms of what I liked about the movie, I just love how massive this movie is, from the amount of characters this movie has, to the actors playing them, to the amount of locations being filmed at. The stunt work's amazing. And this movie is not just slapstick, it's also got a lot of visual humor. Like, my favorite visual humor bit is at the very beginning, where you have the guy telling the group of people about where the location of the money, and he kicks the bucket, both literally and metaphorically speaking, because he actually does die and proceeds to kick a bucket afterwards, which is so funny. I also love the way this movie begins, because unlike today's movies where it's like, okay, here's the general gist of what the story is, and here's the general gist of what the characters are in the movie. No, first 5 minutes, car crashes, characters go there, learn information, and boom, that's pretty much your whole opening intro. It just throws you right into the story. I also just love the way this movie progresses, because it starts out with 8 characters trying to go after the money, but as the movie progresses, each of them go on their own adventures and are coming along the way as they have to overcome their own obstacles and meet other characters that also join them on the journey to obtain this money as well. Also, I like how all these characters met on the side of the road, and they are just ordinary, hardworking people who have nothing in common except for one dream, that they want this money so bad that they're willing to just kill each other to get this money, and I think that's just hilarious. And this movie has some memorable scenes as well. Like, my favorite scene in this entire movie is when one of the characters gets duct taped by these 2 gas station attendants because they think he's crazy, and he gets so mad that he rips the duct tape apart and just gets into a fist fight with these 2 gas station attendants, to the point where the brawl becomes so epic that it just levels the entire gas station. And there's just never a dull moment in this movie, because no matter what character you're focused on, there's almost always something going on with that character, or characters in this instance. I also like the way this movie handles its characters in terms of which ones get the right amount of screen time. Unlike today's movies, where it's like, oh, here's a bunch of characters, but they might only have like 5 minutes of screen time, or barely appear in the movie at all. This year, each character has the right amount of screen time. Well, say for a couple characters here and there. And I also like how the characters, the situations they get them, all tie into the story. In terms of what I disliked about the movie, I found the first 20 minutes to be just a tad bit slow, but after that, everything flies by fast. And some of the cameos I question, because there's some cameos that are actually plot relevant, while others that aren't so plot relevant. Case in point, the one cameo that is relevant to the story is the Don Knotts cameo, because one of the characters loses his car to a river, and happens to come across Don Knotts at a restaurant, and he tells him this lie about how he's a part of the government, and essentially forces Don Knotts to go inside the restaurant to make a phone call, and at that point in time, that character steals his car, because for the rest of the movie, we see that particular character using his car. Now, the cameo that doesn't work for this movie is the Three Stooges cameo, because it adds nothing to the story. It just kind of feels like, yeah, we're Three Stooges, we're here, whatever. It's like the one cameo I could have done without, because it doesn't add anything to the story. And also, some of the chroma key effects don't hold up that well by today's standards. And also, I did find the screen time to some of the characters to be rather odd, because it feels like some characters get more screen time than others. For example, the characters that I wanted to focus on the most in this movie are Buddy Hackett and Ricky Mooney's characters, because I think they're the most entertaining of the bunch. However, as the movie introduces more characters, they get less screen time. and there's some parts here and there that I could have done without, but that's just me. So for my final verdict of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, yeah, I could see why many people put this as a quintessential comedy, because this movie truly does deserve the title of epic comedy. From the story, the characters involved, and the sense of humor it has, it's just an epic comedy. Granted, I do find the movie to be lengthy in some areas, but hey, I think it's a really funny movie. And honestly, it's at this point become one of my favorite comedies because of how epic it is. And before I give my final rating, what did everyone else have to say about It's a Mad, 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 Mad World? Looks like a lot of people like this movie. I'm not surprised. And so, for my final rating of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, I give it 4 out of 5. So, what's your favorite epic comedy? And see you later.